Briefly written bio. This is more in depth than I can tell you. She lives in Michigan and is a clinical pharmacy specialist. She has been doing Kirtan Seva at Gurdwaras throughout the U.S. and internationally. Through the influence of Sangat, she learned the importance of understanding the meanings of Gurbani. She has presented various topics on Sikhi at community colleges, preschools, and elementary schools, Gurmat camps, interfaith programs, retreats, for example, as well, and also to local law enforcement. In her spare time, she enjoys gardening and raising her 3 fabulous children, and is a big fan of the TV series The Walking Dead and Game of Thrones. Through the guiding grace of the Guru, this presentation will explore the 32 stanzas of a Shabad given to us by the Lord Guru, Ram Das side, which focuses on devotion, dedication, and sacrifice. She will then facilitate an interactive discussion on the relationship between Vaaheguru, Satguru, and the individual. Through the process of self-reflection and real examples taken from Sikh history, the participant is then invited to experience, discover, and deepen their love and fascination for the Guru. And I promise I will do a personal anecdote, which is that one time, my older sister and I, my only sister and I, we were trying to figure out the tune for a Shabad, and we couldn't decide who was right or who was doing it right. So we called the Banji over the phone. Turns out I was doing it wrong. The point being, she does really amazing kirtan, and if you ever have a question on which key is right, you can call her and she'll tell you. Okay. Vaaheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Vaaheguru Ji.
Yes, I'm all-knowing. No, Vaaheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Vaaheguru Ji ki Fateh. For those of you that know me, I'm a jokester, so I will be making comments like that throughout the presentation. And I have been assigned the duty of going over the theme Shabad for the weekend. So the whole book is Darshan Hadde Kankatai, Kirpa Kare Ta Satgur Mille, Har Har Naam Dhiyai. And so I wanted to take a different approach that, from what we've done in the past. I think in general we've tried to break out into groups. People translate the Shabads, and then we kind of come back and have a discussion on it. That component will definitely be here. I mean, this is a Gurbani workshop, so we definitely want to make sure you have a good understanding of the Shabad. But I also want to see if we can delve into this deeper. And I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to facilitate that. That will all depend on everyone's participation today. So, this Shabad is on page 757 of Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji. It's in Rag Suhi, and it's part of the Ashtapadiya. So all that really means is that basically it has more than 4 stanzas affiliated with the Shabad. In this case, 32. Fourth Mahalla, meaning that is the 4th Guru that has written it, Guru Ram Das Ji. And then the second house, what that is, actually goes back to is the dal that it's written in. And so my minimal research and knowledge of these kinds of things, what I was able to find was that is Guru dal that's affiliated with God Buddha. So you can see here that the Shabad, if you look, the Suhis all fall under pages 728 through 794, and if you remember Sangeeta Kaur's presentation from yesterday, she went over how the Guru's Banis, which Gurus are included, and so here are all the Gurus that wrote Rag Sukhi as well as the Bhagavats at the end. So when I look into a Shabad meaning, I don't look at just line by line. I think it's important to look at the Rahaltuk, but my other approach is to look at the Shabads that are around the Rahaltuk. So I wanted to actually go through and look at what is Rag Sukhi, is there any importance or affiliation with the Shabad lines or meanings? And I think definitely, I mean that's why Guru Sahib put Shabads with Rags. I think there's an importance there. The music and the type of Rag or the name of the Rag that or Shabad is written in brings about the emotion and brings about the characteristics of the Rag. So I looked at what other themes are in Suhi, and we can see that the very first Shabad that's in Rag Suhi is Panda Toy Bastu Devo Dodek Pojavo. And then the other themes that are written in Rag Suhi by the various gurus are that Lord's name is permanent, Vaaheguru Nam is permanent. The condition of the bride. So there's actually 3 sections. There's the Kujaji, Gunvanti, and Sajaji, which all relate to the bride who is attached to her guru or is with her guru. The bride that's detached or is doesn't have her guru, and her pain and dukh that's affiliated with her being away from her guru. And then the other shabads that are in there are clutches of Maya, following the teachings of the guru. So, and then most importantly, or most familiar to most people, are that the Lama are written in Rag Suhi. So if that gives you any kind of idea of what this shabad is about, that it's about love and separation through the other themes. And so that's exactly what Rag Suhi represents as well. So if you look at all the different scholars, there's always differences in opinions, but there's pretty much good consensus that Rag Suhi is associated with separation and joy. It's performed late morning, so between 9 a.m. And noon, and it's the 15th Rag that's in Sri Guru Granth Sahib. And the theme of Rag Suhi is that the soul is away from the Lord and the joy when you meet the true husband. So I have a little file clip here that I wanted to play that will let you hear Rag Suhi. very easy for me to say Suhi is separation from your Lord and the sadness and then the happiness of uniting. But when you hear it, I think you can feel that emotion there. So when was the Shabbat sung? Where was it sung? Like most of Gurbani, we don't always know. There's select Shabbats. It's actually the rare occasion when you know where a Shabbat has been sung in the historical reference. For most of Gurbani, it's actually not known when it was written, but we can make certain assumptions based on the Guru's timeline. So we know that by Jetaji from 1554 to 1574 was in Govindwal. We learned that yesterday during the history session. So by Jetaji did the Sangat of the Guru. He married Bibi Paniji in 1554, and we know he performed hard labor on various construction projects, including building Boli Sahib, as well as he became the main architect and city planner for Amritsar. And then in 1574 to 1581, this was the Gurgati period. So we know that the Shabad was probably sung in between this period of time, and more than likely when Guru Sahib was given Gurgati, he moved to Ramdaspur, which is today, current day Amritsar. So it's very likely that he probably recited the Shabad in Amritsar. But really those are more subjective. We don't really know for sure, but those are kind of the historical references that we do know of where the Guru was during that time period. Now, I don't want to go through too much history. I actually kind of wanted to cover some of that, but I think we covered a lot of that through the exam. But what I do want to do is kind of tie it back to what were some of the Guru's experiences that tie directly into the Shabad lines. And we'll do that during the discussion session. So that's all I'm going to kind of give on the background of Biran Das Ji. So while there's no real reference to the actual Shabad and when it was first sung, there is a reference for this Shabad in relation to the Nangana Sahib massacre. Does anyone know the story? Okay.
This is like during the independence movement. There were some prisoners that the Britishers had taken some protesters and they put them in a train. The train was going to go through the Gurmat Sahib station, and it was, I think, Vaisakhi Day or some Gurpurab. And the Sangha decided that you cannot let the prisoners go because they were hungry and they were thirsty and they were not being provided any water because they were political prisoners. And so they asked the train warden or the station master to stop the train so that they can serve hunger to the train to the prisoners. And they said no, we can't do that. And so they decided that since it is Nanak Dev Ji's birthplace and we need to make sure that nobody goes in space, they will give their lives. And so they started they lay down on the tracks and they said they'll rather get their bodies with the train rather than let them go hungry. And so the train did come and it went over to
So that's one maybe historical reference to Nangana Sahib, but the actual Nangana Sahib Saka is actually one of 3 Sakas.
Oh, wasn't it the one where they attacked the Gurdwara? Yeah.
Who attacked?
The Sikhs were trying to get the Gurdwara back, like the Gurdwara Sadar Lair, and I think that the Musands killed a lot of Sikhs the Musands killed a lot of Sikhs, or the Mahants, sorry, not Musands. The Mahants, they killed, I don't know how many Sikhs, but they killed a lot of Sikhs. Basically,
yeah. So yeah, that's it. Basically, during the Gurdwara reform movement, and this is when the Akali Dal was forming and getting stronger and trying to put more of a lot of the main Gurdwaras, they were overtaken by Mahants, and so they were trying to take back the Gurdwaras. The Akali Dal was trying to take back all the Gurdwaras. And so there were rumors that Narayan Das, who was a Muslim, had taken over Nankana Sahib, and he was performing sacrilegious affairs in Guru Granth Sahib. I mean, we already know of stories of where they were dancing and using it as a parlor bar, but there were other acts that were happening there that were reported back to Akali Dal, and basically there was a meeting that took place, and they basically said, okay, we need to take back this Gurdwara. So the Narayan Singh, he actually...
What other acts were being performed?
Women were being abused.
Oh.
So there were stories of women going there. They thought it was a Gurdwara, that they would go Mathate. They thought they were going to a holy place, and then being taken advantage of. So basically then, where was I in the story? So they had a convention. They decided that they were going to go take Nankana Sahib back. And Narayan Das said, you know what, I'm not going to listen to this group of 6. Why am I going to leave here? I'm making tons of money, I'm rich, I have my own palace, and I have all my servants. And really, at that time, the British government they had the support of the British government to stay in the Gurdwaras. They didn't want the Akali Dal to gain momentum and take over Punjab or have a political voice. So they actually supported the Mahants, and Mahants said, you know, we want firearms, we want whatever we can get to defend our presence in Nankana Sahib. And so then the Akali Dal met, and there were 2 people that said, okay, we're going to perform 2 jathas and go to Nankana Sahib. One was Lakshman Singh, led by Lakshman Singh, and basically they ended up going to SGPC, and SGPC said, okay, go ahead, let's go and do this attack and take back. But when I say attack, it was supposed to be a peaceful protest. There was no plan of taking any kind of firearm or anything like that. And so before they went and they were going to go for this peaceful protest, they took a Vaag. And the Vaag that came was Goya Galava Mera Pinta Pyara on this Avachai. So it was this chapter. So because the Mahant had a lot of spies and people that could inform him, they said SGPC is planning an attack to take over the Gurdwara, so you need to be prepared. So Narayan Singh said, all right, let's fortify the Gurdwara. And they actually built special gates, very tall gates all around Nankana Sahib, and made little holes through the gates. Enough holes where you could put a gun through, so you wouldn't be able to shoot or do anything back, but you could put a gun through there and then shoot through the gates that way. And so they were all ready for the attack, and then SGPC found out that Mahants were preparing for the attack. So SGPC said, let's not go. This is going to be a suicide mission if we continue forward with this protest. But Lakshman Singh said, no, we did an ardas in front of Guru Sahib, so we have to go. We have to take this stand. We can't let this atrocity continue. We need to stand up for our Guru and take back Nankana Sahib. So there were actually 2 jathas they were going to meet. The one that was led by Lakshman Singh, they decided to move forward, but the second jatha that was supposed to come and meet Lakshman Singh decided they weren't going to come. As Lakshman Singh started marching towards Nankana Sahib, more and more people gathered, and there were about 150 people that ended up getting there by the time they got to Nankana Sahib's gates. And so at that point, it was very clear. Lakshman Singh said, there will be no bullets, there will be no fighting, or we will not retaliate in any kind of armed fashion. It has to be in a peaceful protest. And so people still within his group said, and his jatha said, we still have time to back out. Maybe we shouldn't go forward. We're all going to be killed. And so Lachman Singh said, all right, well, let's do another hukamnama. And so the night before they were going to do the protest, he did another hukamnama, and the Shabbat came up again. So for him, that he felt that was confirmation that they should move forward, and they did. And actually, Narayan Das he killed all of the 150 protesters that were there. They did not retaliate, they did not fight back. So all of them were either burned alive, one was tied to a tree and burned. So it was very, very grotesque on how they killed those peaceful protesters. Once the Sikh community found out about this, they actually marched to Nankana Sahib and forced Narayan Das to leave. It brought so much attention, and everyone was so horrified by this action that Narayan Das had no option but to leave the Gurdwara. And we also won favoritism from the British as well. Sorry.
So I just wanted to, during the massacre with Guru Granth Sahib Ji, like probably severe damage.
So I don't think so though. So what I know is that I think about 10 people or very few people were on the outside of the premises. Majority of people were killed within the premises of Nankana Sahib. So the bullets were definitely flying around on the inside of the premise. I don't know how they got in. Maybe they let some in. That's just kind of a story.
I just actually came back from another side, like last month, and we were in a vault of the side, and you go up as much as you can, and there's one set of staircase, like when you're kind of on the balcony, there's one more set of staircase going up, and I was going to go up and Sevadar said, and be like, जाने सकते हो, but then my mom asked me, like, क्यों होता है? They said, Babu की बेटी, like, they said, Nankana Sahib Saka, and then my mom was like, Saka, so we actually weren't too sure, and then they said, they saw we were interested, because they were like, what? That sounds so like, you're doing seva for immigrants and people that were damaged, they said, for Nankana Sahib Saka, and in 1984, Babu की बेटी, they said, कल इसकी स्नान करके किसी आ जाओ शायद दर्शन हो जाएगी. So we went up the next day thinking like, okay, maybe they'll let us stand on the outside just to see. And they let us in, and it's really cool. They're doing like really intense repairs. The best guy in his field of like, I don't know what that's called when you repair any type of paper. There's a field. I don't know. But anyway, so they have it's a Muslim guy actually. He's the best in his field, and it's like just really cool the amount of, there was like beads so that the moisture is retained and nothing gets dried out. Tiny, tiny pieces of Guru Granth Sahib Ji, like literally one smaller than an akkar in like little bags, like little corners. They showed us the bullets that were in, and so they're recording everything so that this can be shared. So like you didn't know about it, I didn't. I thought thinking, I just don't know too much about history, but they're recording all of this, making a documentary so that people can know that these viewers were prepared and the history behind them. But I'm pretty sure it is that one. Just if anyone goes to India, go up to a Gulf, they'll probably like it.
Probably is. And this was one of 3 sakas, and so the reason why this one has so much significance is this was one of the first ones and really led to the British kind of letting Sikhs back into the Gurdwaras and not kind of keeping them out and dismembering the system. Okay, so here is the Shabbat. love singing Gurmat. It's a passion of mine. And I love reading Gurbani and researching Gurbani, but there is just something that really just pierces the heart when you sing Gurbani. And so what I'm hoping to do is have you connect to Gurbani the same way I feel like I connect when I'm singing. So what I'm going to try to do with the help of a few of our local Nurse Sangat, I learned So now you've kind of heard some of the history and background on the Shabad, and now I want you to have the experience with the Guru. So we're going to break up into 5 groups. So if we can have everyone count off, and we'll kind of do the 5 tables here around the center. And then once you're in the groups, I'll explain the activity. So if everyone can start counting off. Okay, Bole, Sonia. Okay, so the activity, as you can see, there should be a piece of paper. You can have each person in your group have a sheet. There should be 10 sheets. The sheet will actually have the directions for you. So within your groups, can everybody hear me? Okay, within your groups, please translate the Shabad line by line. So you have some space there on your worksheet to translate the Shabad. As you can see, I didn't give any keywords or anything, so I want you to, as a group, come up with the meanings. Feel free to use any resources or references that you want to use to double check your work. The next thing I want you to do is you'll notice that there are individual lines for each Shabad. Each person has 1 pada. So this Shabad has 6 Nanak lines. So basically what I did was I cut up the Shabad so each person has 1 stanza. Each group has 1 stanza. So what you're going to do is for each line of the Shabad, match it to the most closely related. And there are some, I use some artistic and funny and kind of my personality type of photos, so they're not all serious. Some of them are also have pictures of the gurus, so please kind of excuse. We're using this more as a frame of reference and not promoting pictures of gurus. So what you're going to do is match the photo with the Gurbani line that matches its meaning as close as possible. And then the other directions on your sheet you'll see is, I want you to come up with 1 word or a very short phrase that summarizes your pada. Now group 1 has the Rahaltuk in their pada, but each other group has a pada without a Rahaltuk. So which line or which central concept from the pada represents your entire pada? So once you come up with that 1 word, I would like the facilitator to, at the end or close to the end of our discussion, to come up to me so that we can incorporate that into the slides. I want to know from you guys, what do you think is that 1 word or short phrase? And then if you're, obviously Pada 1 has a Rahaltuk line, but still it would be a good exercise to, how does the rest of the Shabad relate back to the Rahaltuk? And then obviously for all the other Padas, because your Padas may have a slightly different central idea, how does it relate back to the central idea of the Rahal line at the beginning of the Shabad? The 4th task you have is to describe the characteristics or the relationship between Sevak, Satguru, and Vaaheguru within the Shabad. So each stanza, or each pada, represents a little bit different relationship between those 3 components. So identify in your pada what that relationship is. And lastly, be able to discuss the imagery, the physical conditions in your pada, and we are going to have open discussion once you've analyzed your padas on how can we apply the Guru's perspective and the lessons we learned through the Shabad in our own lives, either physically, emotionally, or spiritually. So you'll have about 30 to 40 minutes. I'll check back in about 30 minutes. If you have any questions, I'll be walking around to help get anyone started.
Grab microphone.
You should say just as use your full name.
All right, how many of you know or do not know how to play Okay, there's a couple people. Okay. So Simon Says is a game where if Simon says to do something, you do it. So Simon says to wiggle your foot, wiggle your foot. If I say something but Simon does not say it, then you are to not do it. If you do it, no one's really going to be out, but just keep track of whether you do it or don't do it. All right, so is everyone ready to begin? All right, Simon says to stand up. All right, Simon says sit down. Simon says to stand up and raise your arms. All right, now sit down. All right, Simon says touch your toes. Simon says do jumping jacks. All right, Simon says you can stop. Now you can sit down. All right, Simon says wiggle your right foot. Simon says flex your muscles. And now do a yoga pose. All right, and the last one is Simon says make a human pyramid. True dedication. Okay, everyone can sit down and we'll start the discussion. Okay, so the Vaaheguru, longing for the Vaaheguru, and only with Vaaheguru's blessings we meet the Sadguru and receive Naam. Alright, okay, so we have each of the groups go through and pick one word that describes their pada. Who is someone in group one? All right, what was the word you chose?
Sacrifice. Sacrifice. Because we thought that all lines had to do with kind of giving up your worldly pleasures and like your own ego and trying to submit yourself in service for God. And sacrifice.
All right, and so who is the one speaking and who are we speaking to?
I think it was Gurmat, did you speak?
Okay, I mean like, okay, there's three relationships within this entire Shabad. There's the Sevak, there's the Sadguru, and there is Vaaheguru. So who is the speaker of the Padawan?
The Sevak.
All right, and who is Sevak talking to?
I think it was anyone who could meet them with the Sadguru.
Okay, so our loss is to
Anyone?
Vaaheguru. Okay, so there are specific phrases or imagery that go with Padawan. And how about the people in Padawan, can you get your pictures? And sorry, I should have told you guys this before. How about each person from your group hold up one of your pictures? So some of the lines that come up in Padawan include Jai Mukh De Ta Ithi Raja Dukh Vich Sukh Manai Tan Man Kar Kar Sab Arbi Vich Agni Aap Jalai Pakha Feri Pani Tona Jo Deva So Khai. So are we physically cutting ourselves into pieces? and offering it to the Guru or Vaaheguru. So what does that really mean? What does, anybody can answer this. What does it mean when you are saying these phrases that I'm going to do bakha over you, I'm going to bring body to you, I'm going to cut myself into pieces? What are these concepts from today's perspective?
I think that shows you love the Guru so much that you would go to the extent of doing that. Like, you get what I mean? You wouldn't actually do that, it's just saying that you would go to that certain extent.
Would you go to that extent? Would anybody go to that extent? I mean, you have this longing. You're not trying to go to a marathon. You're not trying to get your degree. This is what you want to do. This is your passion. I mean, for a lot of our passions, we don't even say, you know, you're like, hey, I'm going to go to McDonald's and grab some fries because I'm starving, on your way to the thing you're going to go for your passion. This is saying, and you know, one of the things is when I was preparing for this workshop, I was looking for these pictures, and it's not very easy to find photos that really go with the true deep meaning of these lines. So all of the pictures that I really brought were very superficial and topical, but also some of the suffering that happens in this world is so deep and so painful that you don't even want to show it. So when you see pictures of children who are really dying of hunger, when you're seeing pictures and you know of our historical references where people were actually cut into pieces because they refused to give up their Sikhi, in all of these cases, Guru is saying, I will endure that. I will endure that just so I can have your vision, just so that I can have your vision. So what I kind of said here was longing. I think that's kind of a given considering the darshan of the Khandai. And you're right, the person that's missing out of our 3-person series, Sevak, Satguru, and Vaaheguru, we haven't really addressed Satguru in Padawan. It is a Darahaltuk, and so we know that Kirpa kare ta Satgur milna. So Vaaheguru has to do Kirpa on us before we can meet the Satguru and receive Naam. But in Padawan, we're still looking, we're still searching, and we will do anything it takes if just one person would unite us with Vaaheguru. So Pada 2, is anyone from Pada 2 willing to tell us your one word? Who's from Pada 2?
So in Padatu, we see that the Sevak is tired of traveling the whole world after trying to find the Guru. And in the first picture here, we see that she's tired of traveling the whole world, just like this in the first line. And she presents her eyes in the feet of the Guru. I am tired now, and I just want your darshan. And then the second image.
You don't have to go image by image, but just the overall theme of concept. What is the main theme or central theme of Pada 2?
The central theme is that they are trying to show their attachment to the Vaaheguru, and which is only possible through the Sadguru.
So who is the speaker?
Someone who is seeking to be a Guru.
Yeah, so the Sevak. And then who are we speaking to?
We are speaking to the Vaaheguru.
Okay. And what has the Sevak realized in Pada 2? So Pada 1, we only had the relationship between the Sevak and doing our das to Vaaheguru. In this case, the sevak has found out something. What is that unique thing that the sevak has figured out? How would you guys-
Usually, like, even through like traveling, like throughout the entire world, like searching for the guru, and you know, saying that, oh, I'll sacrifice my eyes for you, I'll sacrifice my whole body for you, I will tear limb for limb for you. Even through all of that, you still want more. You still want Vaaheguru itself. So even through all of that, and like the last book, it resembles by saying, oh Nanak, I'm going ridiculous and crazy. All I want right now is Vaaheguru.
So the concept here is the second to the last line, which is Vaad Vaad Jai Guru Upar, Bad Badi Sant Anai. The sevak realizes that it's only through the Guru that they're going to be able to get this vision. But they haven't met the Guru yet, they just know this concept that I gotta go to this Guru. So it would be equivalent to you're trying to lose weight. And you've done everything you can to try to lose weight, but you can't lose weight. And so then you go to Weight Watchers. And Weight Watchers has a secret recipe. So now you know the secret, you know that Weight Watchers has this plan, but you haven't gone there yet, you haven't done anything with them, you just know. So here in this pada, you still have this longing, but you have this realization or this understanding now that you have to have your Satguru, and you're saying, I will go to the Satguru over and over and over again, and I will bow down to his feet because I am going crazy for the darshan of Vaaheguru. That pada was probably the hardest from a translation perspective because there were so many different people kind of being addressed. It was the Guru being addressed in some of it, Vaaheguru being addressed in parts of it, in the sense that whether Vaaheguru pushes me away or keeps me close, I'm not leaving your side. So it's kind of like you're stuck with me, whether you like it or not. And you could think about it as an annoying child or whatever stuck to your hip, you know, where you're like trying to go to the bathroom and he's like refusing to leave your side. It's kind of like, whether you like it or not, I'm here. Okay, but the three, what was the one word phrase you used? One word or phrase.
So we also contemplated between longing and yearning, but we decided to go with desire, and we kind of put it together as desire to meet Guru Sahib as the main theme of our program.
And how does the three, so who is the speaker?
It is the Sevak again, talking to Sadhguru. The relationship that's demonstrated in this pada is with Sevak and Sadhguru. And ultimately at the end it says Nanak ki Bedti, which goes on to then relate it back to Vaaheguru, the oneness of Vaaheguru.
Right, so pada 3 is unique in the sense that the majority of the pada is really referring to the Guru. So in pada 1, we're saying, I have this longing, I want to be with Vaaheguru. Pada 2 is the realization that it's only through the Satguru, and I need to find the Satguru. And I've come to the door, I've knelt now to the door of Satguru, and now in pada 3, we're saying, I will go to any length to go see that Satguru. Because I have realized that it's Satguru that's going to unite me with Vaaheguru. So some of the imagery, and I don't know if anyone has any of the photos that they can maybe hold up, but we'll go in a violent storm. There's a violent storm, a monsoon, and I'm willing to walk in that. I will cross the ocean to be with the Guru. Now, one thing that they do mention here is that the Gursik will do that. The Gursik will cross over that ocean to go meet the Sadguru. That Guru will die without Vaaheguru. So what I took away from this pada was that, okay, I want to lose weight, and my friend went to Weight Watchers. And so she got really great results going to, by the way, I don't go to Weight Watchers in case anyone's curious, but that's the only thing I can think of at the moment. So she goes to Weight Watchers and she looks fabulous. So now I'm thinking, I gotta do whatever she does. If she wakes up at 7 in the morning and she goes running, if she drinks kale juice in the afternoon, I'm gonna do all of those different things just like her because I want her results. And that's what Pada 3 goes through, is that the Gursikh will go to any length to be with his Guru. So I want the darshan of Vaaheguru, so I'm going to do anything it takes to do that as well. And what is the benefit of that? The Guru brings sukh, and the Gursikh flourishes. Okay, Pada 4.
So I guess the main theme that we thought was Guru Prasad. Basically, he's talking about how if whoever's pleasing to Vaaheguru, for example, Jispave, just do they get the treasure of Nam or Prandat, Bhakti Prandat. And then another important thing I think was also the equivalence of the Sevak and Satguru here. That was talked about in the first 2 lines.
So this is probably the most complex Pada out of all of them, because it really is going through the relationship of all 3, the Sevak, Satguru, and Vaaheguru. So we only had Satguru, Sevak, and Vaaheguru in Pada 1. In Pada 2, you discovered that it was a Satguru that was going to take you to Vaaheguru. In Pada 3, you're saying, okay, now I have to meet the Satguru. I have to go, and I will do anything it takes for me to meet the Satguru. So what is that relationship between Vaaheguru, Satguru, and Sevak that's being portrayed in Pada 4?
So I would say that from the first 2 lines, it really is one of equivalence. For example, they're saying, Tu ape gur, chela hai ape. That's the first line. And then the second line, Jo tud seve, so tu hai ho hai. So really, whoever serves you, they also, basically become you. And this is addressing Vaaheguru. So, but then also, at the end of the second line, it says, Tud sevak hai jakai. And so it's saying that, Vaaheguru protects the honor of his servants. So I would say that, it's one of the basically equivalents.
So basically, it's going through and giving you the benefits of when you're blessed by Vaaheguru and you serve Vaaheguru and you serve the Satguru, these are the benefits that come out of it. Then basically you become Vaaheguru or Satguru, you merge into that light, you receive the treasure of Nam, your ignorance and duality. When we talk about what are our priorities become very crystal clear. Soya manjagai. The reason we don't have that longing for the darshan is because our minds are asleep. We have not been awoken if we don't have that desire. Once we start reading Gurbani and we start applying it to our lives, we realize our mind awakens and we realize that we are separated from Vaaheguru and that we need to right now start doing Nam and becoming one with Vaaheguru. So the Sevak's Ardas is Ikadan Mangat. There's only one thing that I want to do. Go ahead.
I already said this a couple times, but the imagery of this last line really was poignant to me. Ikadan Mangat Nanak Vichara Ardasan Das Karai. I mean, here the Nanak Devi is saying, Guru is saying that Vichara, and please, make me the servant of your servant. And the humility of the Guru always gets to me. And this last line really encapsulates that he doesn't just want to be made the servant of the servant of the servant.
Okay, so the fourth or fifth pada. What is the one word phrase that you selected? Let the sheet come back.
Okay, I'll do it. Say
Okay, the word we agreed upon was perseverance for this pada. it sort of talks about whatever Guru Sahib does. I find that sweet, whether it's scolding or whether it's kind, and it's sort of the journey of the Gurmukh towards Guru Sahib. Day and night, sort of this effort, this feeling of bliss. So we put the word perseverance.
And I think that interesting thing about this pada and this Shabad is that there are 2 Nanak lines at the end. Can anyone from Group 5 talk about the 2 Nanak lines?
I got nothing. We did discuss it, but we didn't collectively come up with anything. Actually, no. Maybe we were saying that the first Nanak line is the ending of this specific pada, and then the second Nanak line is sort of the end of the entire Shabad. So that's why we thought, okay, that's why there's 2 Nanak lines.
Okay, and what is the Nanak line? Can you read it?
Yeah, Nanak ka jiyo pind guru hai, gur milit ripat akai, and then Nanak ka prabh pur raheo hai, jab ka pritat gosai.
So the first Nanak line is referring to the Guru, and that you are a complete and total sacrifice to the Guru. And it's when you meet the Guru that your vyas, your desires, and that, what is the desire? Darshan, right? So just to be clear, we're not asking for a race car or a degree. We're talking about the specific ardas of the darshan. And we're saying that it's only by meeting the Guru that vyas can be quenched. And Nanak ka prabh pur raheo hai. What that means is that now that you've met the Guru, now you see Vaaheguru in everything. So once you've met the Guru, jab kat tat gosai, here, there, and everywhere, you can see that all-pervading Lord. So, we kind of ran out of time, so we can't really go into more discussion than this. But here are your words that you came up with. And you can see how they all relate back to Darshan Harde Kanganai. So how do we get Darshan Harde Kanganai? The way that you get it is by meeting the Guru, and then now you can see Vaaheguru in everything. So your Kirpa Karen, you're asking for that Kirpa. Will you unite me with the Satguru and give me Naam? Well, that will, once you actually meet Satguru, then your desires are fulfilled. So the summary I was going to have us kind of go through this little checklist. But I kind of erased the answers, but we'll go through it real quick. So Pada 1, we talk about the Sevak and Vaaheguru. In Pada 2, it's mostly Sevak and Vaaheguru, but the concept of Satguru begins to show in Pada 2. We understand the value of Satguru and the need for Satguru. In Pada 3, it's mostly related to Sevak and Satguru. And then Pada 4 is when the Shabad really ties in that relationship between all 3. And Pada 5, it's basically the merging of all 3. So I wasn't really able to go into this, which I think are key aspects of the Sevak, the Satguru and Vaaheguru. We have to realize that we are separated from Vaaheguru and that we're asleep. If we don't even realize that, we don't have that darshan vyas, we don't have the longing to be with Vaaheguru. The Satguru's role is to unite the Sevak with Vaaheguru. And what is Vaaheguru role in all this? Vaaheguru is constant. Vaaheguru is manifested within his creation. So Vaaheguru is all pervading. So the second one, so which pada does that concept come up in? Pada 1 and Pada 2. And then for the second one, where the Sevak is referred to in Gurbani as Atma, and Vaaheguru is the Paramatma. So the sevak is the person who is subject to birth and death, but based on their karams, they are judged by Dharamrai. Vaaheguru doesn't take birth. So Sadguru has all the attributes of Vaaheguru and is Durgi Vani. So that concept is covered under Pada 3 and somewhat Pada 4. So the sevak is the trader. They're the ones that, so Vaaheguru is the owner of the treasure Nam. He has to, when he's giving Nam, he's giving it through the Sadguru. So Sadguru is the bank, and he's the keeper of Nam. So you can think of it as Vaaheguru trusts only the Sadguru with Nam, and it's Sadguru that's giving the Nam. Now the interesting thing that comes up in Gurbani is the sevak doesn't just receive Nam, he's trading something for that Nam. What is he trading? You can just yell it out. I think it'll be easier than trying to. Huh?
Ego.
Exactly. So where does that come up in the photo? And also the very last, the last Raha, or the first Nanak line of the last Pada. We actually talk about that specifically. And then another concept that comes up is the sevak is the passenger, or sometimes you hear of the soul bride. Sadguru is the ship. And if we're looking at it as a kind of comparative, Sadguru is also the majola for the bride. And Vaaheguru is the limitless ocean, or the husband. And so we talk about that ship and the limitless ocean in Pada 3. And so tying it to the very last thing, Vaaheguru is the cause of everything. He's the creator of drama. So, a lot of times we ask that question as to why do bad things happen? What are, why is there bad in this world? Why is there corruption in this world? Well, this world is a game. And to tie that back into Simon Says, we played a game. Well, this world is Guru's game, Vaaheguru's game. And you guys were so easily able to follow my direction. I told you guys to stand up, you guys stood up. I told you to sit down. And I wanted to throw some hard ones in there, because some of you were really dedicated, you really followed, you didn't slip up. And I had about 6 people who were willing to do that most difficult task. Now, most of you knew that you were supposed to follow Simon Says, but most of you got to a point where you weren't willing to tan man God sab arpi. Most of you were not willing to do the sacrifices that we sing about every time we do Kirtan and Bond. There were 6 of you though, and that is why Guru Sahib says, Virla koi. It's the rare person that understands the meanings and the true purpose of this world and life, and does whatever it takes, because they put all of their faith and pride in the Guru. They know, even if it's difficult, even though it may be inconvenient, but it's important, and that will make me achieve my end goal. So I'm totally out of time, and I'm hoping that a lot of the concepts we talk about here, Mandir Singh, Ricky, and I will be doing a joint open discussion after his presentation, because a lot of our themes are overlapping. So with that said, Bula Chukka Bhi Maaf Karni Ji, Vaaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.